Are you struggling for consistency in your sim racing? Does your iRating look like a roller coaster? If so, we have good news for you. The way to get more consistent is to first understand what you're doing differently than the professionals. And VRS is the answer. With our competitive subscription, you will have the telemetry, setups, tutorials, and everything else you need to fully analyze your driving. Our data packs and the ability to compare your driving with the best in the world will show you exactly where to adjust your inputs, change your driving line, and shave seconds off of your lap times. And our powerful and precise Direct Force Pro wheelbase and precision pedals are being used by some of the world's best drivers. All these champions agree that VRS hardware is not just the best on the market, it's also priced well below the competition. So if you're looking to upgrade to direct drive and the best pedals in sim racing, VRS is your answer. If you want to get better, get faster, and make it happen sooner rather than later, you owe it to yourself to find out why so many people are switching to VRS. You'll be so glad that you did. Visit www.virtualracingschool.com and learn why the best use VRS.
Ricmotech, high-performance sim racing equipment. There's only one place to go, Ricmotech.com.
Two weeks ago, we kicked off Season 14 of the Ricmotech World Challenge at Road Atlanta. But for tonight, Round 2, we're going to travel to the Rhine Valley of Germany to the former home of the German Grand Prix, known as the Hockenheim Ring. Initially, this other famous German ring started life as a 12-kilometer-long speed test through the forest, but after a significant redesign in 2002, courtesy of Hermann Tilke, the circuit is now a rather tight 2.8-mile twisting layout that features a large stadium seating, and it's one of the major hosts of the famous DTM touring car series. But the site still hosts one of the largest drag racing events in Europe each year. Tonight, our World Challenge drivers have to manage traffic on this fast but flat and very twisty circuit if they want to claim victory at this legendary track. Welcome to Round 2 of Season 14 of the Ricmotech World Challenge. I'm Larry McLeod, and joining me tonight in the commentary booth is Tristan Herbst, and Jim Cunningham is going to be bringing us all the camera angles for tonight's racing action. Greg Ginsberg's taking the night off, but don't worry, Klim Club, he'll be back at it in a couple of weeks' time. So, Tristan, in Round 1, we saw some new faces join the World Challenge and some old friends return. Some of them claimed victory. A few others had to suffer the agony of defeat. But tonight, you get to be introduced to the World Challenge here at Ricmotech Mondays. What's your impression? Are you ready for some excitement tonight?
Yeah, definitely. I think ready for some high-pack action. We know Hockenheim Ring. It's obviously lost the major spotlight that it had in previous years from some of the bigger events known globally, such as Formula One, but definitely still one of the more loved tracks in terms of GT racing all around the world. And so definitely awesome to be back here watching a couple of cars racing around on track, in specific the LMP2s, the GTPs, as well as the GT3 classes, Pro and Pro-Am. So definitely keen to see what these drivers can get at. We saw round number 1 at Road Atlanta, and that definitely got very heaty and dicey with all these drivers out on track. We've got well over 50 cars here tonight, and so definitely excited what these drivers can do, especially after our speed labs qualifying, where they're going to place on grid. It's all going to play out as to how this race can turn.
Yeah, and the 4 different classes we've got running here tonight, for those maybe just joining us, we've got our GTP cars, and the GTP cars, well, those are the large, fast prototypes. You'll be able to spot them. They'll have the black windshield banners and black number plates on the side of the car and on the end plates. And then our LMP2s, I think we've got a shot of one right there. As the LMP2, of course, they'll all be in that Delara chassis, pretty much identical cars, but they are going to have the blue number plates and blue windshield banners on the LMP2s. Then we've, of course, got our GT3s. We have a GT3 Pro. There you go. You can see our GT3 Pros. You got a good look at Mike Dam right there, and another look here. As these drivers, they will have the GT3 Pros on the red windshield banners, mirrors, and number plates, while the GT3 AMs are going to be green mirrors and number plates. We'll try and keep you up to date on which class it is that's running at all the different times. It's going to be busy out there, as Tristan mentioned. It's about 50 cars in the session tonight. As you get a look at Dan Carrito there, starting another lap in this qualifying session. Qualifying is a 4-lap track to themselves situation, virtual track, no one else out there. So drivers get 4 attempts at it. Fastest lap counts to qualifying. And when we get to the race itself, of course, we'll have split starts, GTPs first, LMP2s, and then our GT3 Pros and AMs intermingled, I believe, once we get to that green flag in a couple of minutes' time. As now we've got about 4 minutes left in this qualifying session. I'll tell you what, Tristan, why don't we bring in our pre-race interview guest, Alex Crow, who's been running in the LMP2 class, going to join us. Let's see what he's got to say about tonight's action. Alex, welcome to the pre-race. Welcome to Hockenheim. Are you ready for tonight's action?
Yeah, looking to be so. Currently sitting on pole for LMP2 right now. Just waiting for the last couple drivers putting their laps in. The car feels good. Start's gonna be interesting with the new start zone here, but yeah, we'll see how the race plays out.
Yeah, the start zones always are interesting, especially with the large field like we've got tonight here. But I think you're relatively new to this series. You were with us a couple of weeks ago, I think, for that first round. What's your impression so far here?
I was, yeah. Competition's pretty good here. Obviously, Road Atlanta was quite the busy track with so many cars in the field. Thankfully, Hockenheim's a little longer, a little bit wider. Still just about as many cars though, so traffic is definitely gonna be a big thing throughout every week of the series with how many GT3s are running. Yeah.
Yeah, it's absolutely going to be critical to manage the traffic with the, of course, faster GTPs and then the large number of GT3s. But you're right there. You're right now on that provisional pole in the LMP2. What's been your impression of the level of competition that you've got within your own class?
Yeah, I've raced a few of these guys before, so I kind of know where their pace is at and how they race and how I can race them, which has been really helpful, especially we seem to run into each other every race we do. Whether it's leagues or officials or one-off special events. Then my teammate Bobby is sitting in third right now. Justin Bear just did not take pole on his last lap, so I think that'll probably secure that for me. But yeah, there's a few guys in here that I recognize from other leagues in the past as well, so kind of familiar with some of these guys.
Yeah, that's good. That's kind of fun too, even though it's new to the league, but certainly having some familiarity with the other drivers. It's always good to have some of that so you know what you're getting into. We always like in the pre-race interviews to ask drivers what do they do outside of sim racing. So any other hobbies or what do you do for a living that you want to share with us?
I play Pokemon, like the card game, in real life. So it's a very different hobby. But yeah, they take up some time. This takes up some time. Yeah, it's a little bit unique.
Cool. Yeah, very cool. It's always good to hear different things that keep people's attention. That you're not just glued to a sim rig 24/7 like a lot of our folks might be. it's good.
Pretty close, honestly.
All right. Well, good luck tonight. It's second round is always one of those critical ones to me. You had a good result in the first one. You've got a good starting position tonight. So best of luck there. Any special mentions, shout outs, anything you want to mention to anybody who might be listening in or watching online?
Shout out Bobby, my teammate, starting third tonight. Majors Garage, Mike set us up for this league, so thanks to him. Be running the full season.
All right. Well, good luck, and maybe with any chance, we'll get to talk to you at the end of it tonight.
Sounds good. Thanks, guys.
All right. Thank you, Alex. He's going to head off. We've got just a couple seconds left before we head to grid. Mentioned a couple things, of course. Qualifying is brought to you by Speed Lab. Speed Lab sponsoring here in the qualifying session each and every Monday night for the Ricmotech World Challenge. And also want to give a shout out to our race steward, sponsored by SCCA Foundation, bringing you the best stewarding you can find. And what better way than the SCCA stewards that do it each and every weekend at a racetrack, probably near you. So we've got just a couple seconds left as grid's forming together. Any other thoughts, Tristan, before we introduce the grid?
Yeah, I think it's definitely going to be quite an action-packed race, but for the likes of Alex Crow, like we mentioned, a bit of a new gun here to the Ricmotech World Challenge, starting off P1 in that LMP2 series. That's going to be a lot of pressure from behind. He did mention he's got some assistance there with a teammate of Bobby Babaletskos in third position, so at least a little bit of support from the backside. But still, loads and loads of cars are going to be forming behind him, especially with the LMP2 being one of the more faster cars out on track today in the multi-class. And so traffic management is going to be key over here. We have obviously gotten a little bit of feedback from the likes of Alex Crow mentioning Hockenheim slightly wider, slightly more longer than Road Atlanta, but still not to be shunned down as an easy track. Hockenheim, like most German cars, can be complex built inside and looks all pretty on the outside. But very technical track if you don't know what you're doing. Loads of sausage curbs as well that you need to manage. So definitely something for these drivers to watch out for. But final few thoughts. Definitely think this is going to be a great race. We're going to have to watch out for how they manage the traffic. But other than that, super excited to get to the lights out.
All right, tell you what, let me introduce the prototypes, and then we'll let you introduce the GT3s behind them. We'll start out the front row of the prototypes on pole tonight, SRT Esports, Stephen Hudak. Alongside Stephen's going to be Rosso Esports, Daniel Molina. Row 2 is going to be Connor Nixon from the Orbit Drop Bear Motorsports. And on the outside of row 2, Robert Schwenkler from the Wrong Stuff. Row 3, Michelle Squirk from Squirk Motorsports, alongside Dalton Fredericks from HSR Phantom Racing. Row 4, Fernando Takahashi from Rosso Esport, alongside Bobby Childs from T2D Sim Racing. And then we get to our LMP2s on the pole. We just talked to the Canadian from Major Esport, Alex Crow. He'll be lined up alongside Metamorphosis driver Justin Barrera. Then you've got Alex's teammate right behind him, Bobby Vabaleskos from Major Esports, alongside Ben Rose from DNA Motorsports. On row 3 in the LMP2s, SRT Esports, Caleb Lehman alongside Jordan Butler from DNA Motorsport. Behind them, Jordan Griffin from Purple Sector Motorsport. And Jake Vasconcelos. I'm going to really work on your name, Jake. I apologize. SRT Esport. And then, of course, you've got Kevin McPherson, SRT Esport, and Scott Mowry. And then finally, Lewis Satterley from SRT Esports.
Yeah, taking us through our GT3 class, starting it off with Pro Jeff Jacobs from the SCCA Foundation. We'll start it off in front with the Merc. Jordan Rick Sagrini with the Privateer team in second, followed by Leo Dragotta in third. And not too sure, my live timing is a little bit jumbled actually in terms of positions between GT3 Pro and AM. So rather going to read it in the order of actual position instead of class. But like I mentioned, Jeff Jacobs will take first. Second is Neil Weston from GT3 AM class in the HTPK Racing, followed by Stephen May in Mayforce Racing with Rocky Rocco in fourth. Pan Hyriday in fifth position, followed by Aaron Sunday in sixth. John Casey in seventh, with Adam Cohen in eighth from the Speed Lab Esports team. Greg Brockway in ninth position from the Friota Sport Racing team. In 10th position, which I'm not actually too sure where I'm finding, as everything's a little bit jumbled on my side in terms of the live timings. It confused me a little bit. Apologies there, but yeah, that's obviously because of the pace lap changes. So continuing on just from standard GT3 Pro, with the rest of the grid forming in random order. Going from Nick Reciputo, Michael Brooks, Charlie Hosea with Ethan Bass, Travis Schwenk with Ken Copeland, Brian Coxon, Elias Speaker, and Trevor Clement, Tyler King, Filipino Bob Yeri, Keith Stain, and Millen Harris. And then continuing off our GT3 AM class from Adam Cohen, John Casey, Greg Brockway, Lucas Dragotta, Chase West with Chester Guidry, Dan Corrido, Andre Wedderburn, Jesse Ansley, and Aaron Beaver. Apologies about the confusion there with the positions, but that is your total massive spanning grid of well over 50 cars here at Hockenheim Ring.
It is a massive, massive field here tonight. And as was mentioned briefly by our pre-race interview with Alex Crow, there is a bit of a start procedure tonight. So we're kind of keeping an eye on those GTPs finally now coming up towards that start zone. So we wait for them, and Stephen Hudek leading the way to go around one more time through this sort of infield section here, the old stadium section. Been a part of this track for a very long time. Even after 2002, when they shortened the place, they kept a lot of the stadium section together and created that extra long straightaway, the Parabolica, all the way from turn 2 down to the hairpin. Very slow in-lap, out-lap. You can see here the GTPs all lined up together. Of course, the LMP2s will be bunched together, and then we'll get to our GT3s.
Yeah, I think loads of our action is gonna come from our GT3 class. Obviously, carrying majority of the spanning, but we have gone green here for the GTP class. Stephen Hudek will hold the inside line, and just on the outside, Connor Nixon jumps up on the inside line there from Daniel Molina and made an incredible rundown off the Parabolic and the hairpin over there. An incredible launch though from Stephen Hudek. And he's already starting to pull away from the fight behind him. Connor Nixon will feel the pressure, though. Daniel Molina is looking to retake, and it's a risky lunge up the inside from the driver, but manages to make it stick. Thankfully, no contact there on the inside line, and there's a spin, and that's the car off. Connor Nixon is unfortunately off track. It looks like he managed to just recover it, but not enough to get that GTP slowed down. He's met the wall there of Hockenheim Ring, and unfortunately for him, that is going to be a sandbag of note. Further down, though, we're back with our GT3 classes and back up to the top now. Stephen Hudek, you can see behind him the gap has extended majorly, and another incident off track over there. Robert Schwenkler has seen a little bit of a tap there. The very colorful GTP car now backwards after a little bit of a love tap there, I believe, by Bobby Childs and Fernando Takahashi, and now trying to fight back up towards the pack. You can see just losing positions, and those LMP2s will eventually find him out on track.
Oh, absolute chaotic start here in the GTPs with a couple of instances. We take a look now over at the LMP2s. And Alex Crow is still leading the way there, Ben Rose. And then, of course, Alex's teammate, Bobby Babalesco's going to be sitting in that third spot for the time being. And they're all a little bit cleaner than the GTPs were. Michelle Squirk, a little bit of troubles there at the start in her GTP. She's now got to work her way through that LMP2 traffic. And got to watch that. When these two cars come together, the LMP2s actually can brake later, as they're a little bit of a lighter car than the faster but longer. And sometimes you can see it right there. Michelle Squirk struggling through that corner as we head and watch our GT3s now. As we're on board there watching Leo Dragota, of course, from the Orion race team. As he's leading that field in the GT3s.
Yeah, and you can just see them all coming down now towards the next sector, towards Parabolic and the hairpin. It's full green now for the GT3s, and the racing is well underway. As you can see, a couple of positions already being swapped around in the background, but Leo Dragota has gotten a great pull-off from the start over there, and the 118 Mercedes now under chase, though. He's got a car behind him and trying to navigate it around track. That's the likes of Jordan Rick Sagrini, who's just trying to hold on behind a couple further, Michael Brooks and Ken Copeland, also trying to hold on in the two Lamborghini Huracans. A couple of Mustangs also fighting out on track with the McLarens just a little bit further out of hairpin turn. And coming through the next couple of sectors, the fighting's already on. Two Mustangs challenging each other, Ethan Bass and Charlie Hosea trying to fight each other now. That's a dive up the inside for the 219, holding it neatly from the 100. And through the next sector of the track, thankfully nice and clean, unlike we saw with the GTPs at the start of the race. And the Mustangs managed to navigate decently around track now. The GT3s, though, are definitely ramping up how things are looking here. The massive scale of their multi-class is definitely making for some action-packed racing. Let's just hope we can keep it nice and clean, though, for the next couple of laps here in the GT3 side of things.
Yeah, as things slowly get warmed up a little bit, got a bit of a replay here showing some of the contact we've had throughout this field early on in this opening lap. This place very twisty, very tight. Definitely some cold tires there. So we've got a big spin of one of our drivers, just kind of self-induced. That's part of the issue you run into with GT3s and even in our prototypes on these opening laps. And then, of course, as you see, one of our GTPs trying to work their way back up to the field, having the same kind of issue now, going slowly through the hairpin, and even one of the Purple Sector Motorsports entries getting involved there with some contact down at the hairpin.
Yeah, that's Robert Schwenkler once again, unfortunately receiving a bit of a love tap, and it seems like everybody wants to give him a bit of a tap there on the rear side of his GTP. He unfortunately faces extremities down in 14th now, but up at the top once more with Stephen Hudek from the SRT Esport team, and he is well underway here with a massive gap lead from the drivers behind. Daniel Molina is going to try and close it, but it looks like Hudek is on massive form right now to keep this neatly in front. You can see not too many errors whatsoever from this driver, and managing to keep it neatly well ahead of away from the rest of the drivers. A couple of fighting though as it goes further on behind the pack, as we've got loads and loads of action now in our LMP2 class, because Kevin McPherson, Alex Rowe, Ben Rose, and Jake Vasconcelos, all of them swapping positions very, very quickly. Bobby Babaleskos, apologies, that's Babaleskos, is now trying to hold it from Kevin McPherson. And Alex Crow, who's unfortunately lost the lead of the LMP2 over there, he's just been swamped a little bit. And you can see the likes of Robert Schwenkler still trying to fight through the LMP2s. Another tap, though, through hairpin for one of the LMP2s. He falls off behind now and trying to navigate it. Just not going to be enough to hold on to the rest of the pack.
Yes, our LMP2s now still with Schwenkler trying to get through them. They can see that in these twisty parts of the track, the LMP2s are actually faster than our GTPs, and Schwenkler's struggling now as he finally gets to a bit of a short straight here, just not long enough to be able to make any ground as he's trying to get past Alex Crow. But right now, Alex doing a good job of just positioning, saying he's not going to give up his position. He's still trying to chase down the others in front of him. He's not going to go and let a GTP by just because he could be faster somewhere else.
Yeah, absolutely. And you can see it's a struggle, though, right now for Schwenkler, as like you just mentioned, it's not an easy right now for not an easy battle right now for him, with the LMP2s absolutely swamping him right now. And the GTP just not finding the grips nor the speed to get out of this pack and try and get up towards where he belongs. Unfortunately, Schwenkler, if you did miss it at the start of the race, had a little bit of bumps and bashes in the beginning through hairpin, and that has transcended him towards the backside of the pack through the LMP2 pack now, as he tries to fight his way back up. There's a fight going on, though, as Justin Barrera and Kevin McPherson, both of the LMP2s almost looking identical out on track, are racing each other towards hairpin through Parabolica now. And the 419 has got the inside line. It's going to be a little bit close coming through hairpin. It's a bit nippy, but it looks like Justin Barrera will hold the inside line off there, blocking neatly and holding it coming out of the hairpin.
Yeah, beautiful side-by-side stuff there. Barrera able to hold that position, but he then takes a bit of a wide line. And you can see right there that Alex Crow now trying to make a counter move, taking slightly different lines, trying to push McPherson, or trying to push him off of his line, Barrera, excuse me, and it's just not quite there. So that's quite a battle going on through the stadium section here. Take a look back from Barrera now, looking back at Alex Crow behind him. So starting to at least pull up a little bit away from Jake and from Ben, the next two LMP2s behind them. Of course, they're still trying to keep up with Babaleskos and Lehman out in front.
Yeah, it looks like Lehman has got a... And there goes Vasconcelos. He pulls into the pit lane. Obviously, something's happened to him over there. Hopefully
right
not something... Yeah, the front right. As you can see there, you can already see it from this camera angle. That camber is definitely not correct. So, unfortunately, a little bit of a tap. Oh, that looks like Stephen Hudek, who's spun out from the GTPs, and he's completely backwards. And he's lost his lead completely, down to 5th to 6th now in the GTP class. And that's not going to be a good start for him, unfortunately. He had a dominating lead, and now fighting for it now in the GTP pack. But on board, as you can see over here with Stephen Hudek, he's holding around the outside. There's a tap, though, with one of the GT3 cars, and he just gets the rear end spin there from the Mustang. Super unfortunate there for Hudek, and tough recovery into the barrier as well.
So much chaos down there. You had a couple of GTPs mixing it up with a whole flock of GT3s, and Hudek just ended up being one of the victims down in that group. So it sounds like there may be some penalties being issued by the stewards. Some penalties being issued. That sounds like it's going to be Jordan Griffin being assessed a penalty, likely for that incident right there. So we'll see how that this sorts itself out. At some point, the chaos has got to slow down. Doesn't look like it has yet, as again some of our GT3s continue to mix it up with the faster GTPs.
Yeah, that's the issue with traffic management that we see is, the chaos is very one-sided as to when it actually does stop. It really does depend on when the drivers begin to break away from each other. And, with Hockenheim not being one of the longest tracks out there, obviously it's got a good amount of distance built into it, but it doesn't allow for that much traffic gapping to be built over here by the GTPs and LMPs. And with the GT3s having the majority of class numbers over here, it means traffic is going to get stacked continuously here, and the chaos is all going to come down to driver factor, who can maintain their consistency and avoid contact, especially with the GT3 class, possibly slower in and out of the corners. And so it is definitely a challenge for our GTP and LMP2 drivers that they're going to have to manage.
Yeah, you can see even one of our Rockefeller Racing entries off to the left there and had to make their way back on. But look how tight this track is, just about 4 wide. To the middle of this group here is Chase West. You can see him there in the McLaren, kind of taking some defensive lines. But behind them, there you can see Nick Risaputo trying to defend, holding his line. Not so easy. Tyler King, I think, is really pressuring him in the Mercedes on Mercedes battle here.
Yeah, and I mean, with the GT3s as well, they always have to consider the fact that there's traffic trying to pass them, but it's also, they're in a race of their own. And so they continuously have to try and keep that pressure up, no matter the traffic circumstances, whether they lose the inside or the outside line going into certain corners. They have to be aware that there is still indeed a race going on for their own class in front and behind them. And that can sometimes get difficult. It happens a lot in our endurance races where drivers start to lose that consciousness of actually being in their own kind of race and forgetting that it's not just about overall points. And that's unfortunately where you do see your primary, GT3 to prototype incidents, as now we see Hudek coming through. And as I'm talking about it, we almost cursed the Acura over there as Hudek trying to fight it through. Almost a little bit of contact there through hairpin.
We check in on the battle here. Of course, you've got Aaron Beaver trying to run down Aaron Sunday in the Porsche as they're in their GT3 AM battle. As at the same time, you've got Caleb Lehman trying to come through in his position there, leading LMP2, and then he's of course got one of our GTPs at the same time, and that's just how this is going to be all night long. As Bobby Childs trying to also make his way. He gets past the GT3s, but he's still going to get past that LMP2. There's Bobby in that number 17.
And you can see just trying to get around the track, but back up towards the top. Dalton Fredericks has got the lead of the GTP class now after Stephen Hudek unfortunately got a spin in hairpin a couple of laps ago. He's got a numerous amount of pressure though from Fernando Takahashi as they're trying to navigate around the track. You can see them just swiftly passing the GT3 class, coming through Parabolica and into our hairpin now, trying to find that inside line and braking slightly different from the GT3s. And this is where it gets awkward, because as you can see, the GTP class diving much deeper in compared to the GT3s as they just try and manage the traffic. And thankfully, not too many consequences there through the hairpin. Navigating it pretty neatly over here. These GTP drivers definitely do seem experienced in the trade of traffic management. And you can see in some sectors the GT3s are faster through your lower speed corners. They can carry a little bit more speed, but obviously the GTP with the overall top speed advantage, as you can see, the acceleration difference is absolutely crazy. And that is just how the traffic management is going to have to be going in for the next couple of minutes, as we have about 40 to 50 minutes left of racing at Hockenheim.
Yeah, but as you said, those GT3 is definitely quicker through corners like the hairpin. Those extra tight corners, they're a lot smaller, a lot shorter wheelbase, lighter. Yeah. These GTP cars, they're built for length, they're built for aero, they're built for the Le Mans Mulsanne Straight. They're meant to be going 200 miles an hour all the time. When you get them into these slow corners, they're just big, heavy cars that just take a long time to rotate. You can see it happening. The LMP2s are quicker around those corners than GTPs, but so are the GT3s. But then once they get going, that acceleration in these GTPs is just outstanding, and that's where they can try and get themselves around the GT3s and the LMP2s. But what a battle it's going to be happening. So we're taking a look at our front of the field right now as you've got Dalton Fredericks and Fernando Takahashi battling it out there between Dalton in his Porsche and Fernando in that BMW. As it looks like Daniel Molina now has been in the pits, likely for some repairs in the Acura GTP. So that's not going to be good for Daniel.
Yeah, hearing from our production booth over there, Daniel Molina with a black flag right now. So super unfortunate for him there. He's lost his stride completely. And oh, that looked a little bit odd there from Justin Barrera as he tries to fight on the back of Bobby Babaletskos, fighting through hairpin. Now you can see they've got a GT3 AM behind them, also trying to keep up here with the LMP2s. But like you were speaking about, Larry, there is a huge difference with these cars, the LMPs and GTPs as well, having completely different suspension and ride height models compared to our GT3s. They can't even follow similar curbing that the GT3s can take in some tracks where the curbing can be taken and eaten. The GTPs might suffer with the much lower down to the ground suspension compared to our GT3s, especially cars like the Mercs being known to be able to eat a little bit more curb compared to the other GT3s. Then you get your LMPs and GTPs, which genuinely cannot take much curb without receiving a bit of consequence. And that's kind of how things go. But that is kind of what you play the pros and cons, the highest top speed versus the agility and the difficulty of these GTPs and LMP2s, as they still try and carousel around the track over here, coming out of Mobile 1 a little bit earlier on and onto the main straight over here. You can see very cool camera angle there from our production officers. The cars are stamping around here on the curbs, and they keep on just trying to keep it going in all four respective classes.
Looks like Babaletsko's having some issues there off to the side as he was a bit slow. As we take a look now at Robert Schwenkler, who's been on that recovery since the issues on the opening lap. He's now past Michelle Squirk, who finished second in her opening round. So she's not going to want to just go lay down without a fight. She's going to try and challenge back at Schwenkler here between them, battling for fourth. And they're probably only about, they're about 8 seconds or 9 seconds or so back from Dalton Fredericks out in front. But Schwenkler now on that recovery. We'll see if he can close those gaps.
Yeah, Schwenkler has made an amazing recovery drive considering what he had to fight through in the first starting laps over here. He obviously got spun around and completely disengaged from the pack all the way down to the bottom of the GTP class and into the LMP2 class, but well back into it now, 4th position overall and in the GTP category over here. You can see a GT3 not very happy over there with him flashing it around, but talking about another recovery drive, Stefan Hudek is now back up into the podium slots over here after his spin that he got forced into, and coming through Parabolica, you can see still managing that traffic, but incredible stuff from him as well to bring that GTP back to life.
Yeah, your overall pole sitter now showing the speed of how he got there on the pole to begin with, and now he's just got to continue to work, put his head down, and just start picking cars apart. And it's not just the GTPs he's got to get through. Of course, it's going to be all the GT3s and LMP2s. They're going to find themselves in his way. So we'll try and continue to watch Hudak as he tries to chase down the front two at Fredericks and Takahashi. Just about 3 seconds in front of him is Takahashi, and another 2 or so would be Fredericks. So things closing down there at the front, while Schwenkler's trying to do the same thing behind Hudak. So it's kind of interesting the way that start worked out. These chasers now on the charge.
Yeah, it looks like we've got some more action though as well towards the back of the pack though. Filippo Barbieri down in 38th position and Jeff Jacobs fighting it out pretty hard right now as they're right behind each other, 38th and 40th respectively out on track for the GT3 Pros as they are trying to gain a couple of positions there in their backpack side of the GT Pros. The GT3 Pros, but overall the rest of the grid still carouseling quite nice. Lucas Dragotta will hold off currently as P1 in the GT3 AM class, 23rd overall though, as he's just trying to make it around and trying to just keep as strong as he can behind a couple of the Huracans there in front of him.
Yeah, he's got right in front of Michael Brooks and Ken Copeland, a couple of the wrong stuff drivers there. But for Lucas, you're right. He just wants to hold that position in the AM category. And the more cars he can keep between himself and Dan Carrito, the better it is for Lucas at this point of the race. But you'll notice there's been a lot of cars that we've seen a couple in the background heading into the pits. That's actually a lot of penalties, and I don't even know if we can keep up with the number of penalties the stewards have had to issue tonight. Those SCCA stewards are finding a lot of issues. This super tight track, as we've seen a lot of the replays, different points of contact, cars being spun out. There are penalties being assessed. We'll try and get those to you as best we can. I can tell you Justin Barrera has been black flagged. Of course, we've had Ethan Bass from our GT3 Pro, Keith Stein, Adam Cohen, Daniel Molina, Chase West. All these drivers have been penalized already in this race, and so they may have to start working their way back through if they're going to be serving a drive-through, which most at this point have been drive-throughs assigned.
Yeah, Hockenheim Ring is pretty notorious for catching drivers out on those track limits. You can see one of the Mercs over there. That's definitely going to be an X as he jumps over the curves. And you tend to carry a lot of speed through Hockenheim, and just a little bit too much curb there for the Merc of Leo Dragotta, and he's completely lost it into the wall. That's going to be some front end suspension damage. I was not expecting that, Larry.
No, I don't think Leo was either. The way he came around there, sitting there with Rick Segrini, kind of leading this race in the GT3 Pros, and suddenly he just sort of exited stage right. And I don't know if, for our season 12 champ in this class, this is a rough way to be handling himself here in the second round. You can see he gets a little bit of the curb here at the apex, and as he runs out, just kind of high centers it or something, and the car kicks back across, noses into the wall. Hopefully for him, it's not too much damage, but he may be doing the same thing as Stephen Hudak and Robert Schwenkler doing at GTPs. Leo Dragotta may be finding himself on a recovery drive. You can see there, he's lost about 7 seconds, only dropped to 4th though, but he's got a very difficult Ken Copeland and Michael Brooks to have to try and catch, as well as Jordan Rick Segrini for the lead if he wants it back in GT3 Pro.
Yeah, super unfortunate for him there, but the action is scaling up though. There's more and more happening out on track. Jake Vasconcelos now trying to fight it out as well, as he holds it off from I believe that's the likes of Justin Barrera. Indeed it is, trying to hold it off now through Parabolica. They're going to go shortly, and as you can see, the fighting is extremely tense. It is bumper to bumper here for these two as they try and get past each other. It's green versus blue over here, coming through Parabolica and coming towards the hairpin. This is your number one overtaking zone here in Hockenheim Ring, just due to the corner nature, as it allows for a quick, easy dive up on the inside line. You can see there, Barrera is looking for it. He's not going to be close enough though, and he tucks neatly behind the GT3. That might actually have a bit of a faster line through this section. We've seen the GT3s, like Larry mentioned, being the shorter and lighter weight car, does have a little bit better rotation and speed carry through your slower section corners over here, and the GTPs tend to struggle a little bit. But actually Barrera, very good move over there, complete jump on the likes of Vasconcelos, who was not expecting that at all, and through hairpin and mobile 1 manages to get himself all the way up to 16th. Double overtake there for him on the GT3 and LMP2 classes respectively.
Yeah, interesting this battle here, Vasconcelos and Barrera. Barrera almost looked like he might be running a higher downforce setup than Vasconcelos as they came out of the turn 1 and down onto that long Parabolica. You just see Vasconcelos just pulled away, but once we got to the hairpin, yes, there was a GT3 car that sort of blocked a little bit and didn't really have a great exit there for Jake. But Barrera, look how much faster he is through the stadium section, and I think that may be a little bit of running that higher downforce of us, allowing him to manage traffic better than just having the straight line speed that Vasconcelos may have.
Yeah, I mean, it looks like it's definitely working for him. Obviously, he's sacrificing a little bit of the top end speed of that LMP2. In its nature, it's already an incredibly quick car, and you can technically use the traffic to bounce off of and grab a little bit of slipstream here and there to fight it out. But it looks like it's actually working for him, as you mentioned, going through Mobile 1 and Mercedes. He is indeed faster than the likes of Vasconcelos, who's actually struggling to keep on the backside now. But back up to our front side of the pack as they keep on fighting. Fernando Takahashi and Dalton Fredericks trying to fight it out as strong as they can. Sorry, Dalton's quite far ahead. That's Stephen Hudek now trying to recover his lead. You can see how he's closing in now, coming through Parabolica and then into the likes of the hairpin. Just not close enough yet to make a position, but keep your eye on these two because Stephen Hudek is coming back for that revenge for P1.
Yeah, he caught Fernando in just a few short laps, and would not surprise me if he gets by in the next couple of corners, and certainly before they even get down to the turn 2. We'll have to keep an eye on that. Meanwhile, we catch back in with our GT3s, as we've got a good battle going on amongst them. As we're taking a look at Brian Coxon, you got Travis Schwenke right up there in front of him. A couple of those Orion teammates. And then right behind them and in front of them, they've got a couple of our LMP2s. So as we now check in Charlie Hosea in a battle with Ilya Speaker and a couple of Mustangs, they're still trying to catch up with Ethan Bass. Actually, maybe Bass in front, Speaker maybe just out of the shot here. Whole bunch of Mustangs all bunched together now here in about the 7th, 8th, 9th point. And there they are. It's a good shot of them coming into the hairpin. Side by side, it's going to be Hosea on the inside, Bass on the outside. Bass, of course, gets the better run out of the corner. But the next thing coming is going to be 7 as they head towards Mercedes. Great run for Bass. Holds position now. Of course, coming up alongside him, that's going to be Babaleskos. He's going to try and get his LMP2 down the inside of Bass. He's going to be able to, and just barely, but the next quarter's going the other way. Bass is not going to give up because he's in his own fight, of course, with Hosea. Babaleskos is going to maybe finally have a little flash of the lights there from Ethan Bass, saying, okay, fine, you can have that. But the battles continue here, and now you can see behind Hosea is his teammate Ilya Speaker. Those Rockefeller Racing Mustangs trying to keep up with Ethan Bass through this tight section of the track.
Yeah, and I mean, a little bit further on ahead, we obviously just saw the fighting with the McLarens of Travis Schwenke and Brian Coxon. Both of them are also fighting quite hard in front. It also depends on how that fight goes, as well as the traffic management, but that could allow for the Mustang crew of Ethan Bass, Charlie Hosea, and Ilya Speaker to catch up to this fight and potentially gather into the fight for 24th or P5 for the GT3 Pro category over here. And so it depends on how this fighting goes. You can see the McLarens are currently struggling a little bit with the traffic management. They've got one of the prototypes just a little bit further on in front of them, but the number 6 of Travis Schwenke is going to keep on trying to extend his gap from Brian Coxon, who is not letting it go at the time, being a little bit further behind. As you can just see in the camera switch from Parabolica, the Mustangs are slowly starting to close in there at the background, but it's not going to be enough just yet to dive on. One of the GTPs, one of the LMP2s diving up on the inside line there through Hairpin and now through Mercedes. And this is where the GT3s will have a slight speed advantage with the speed of being lightweight and slightly shorter. And so that LMP2 is going to have to sit for a time being behind the McLaren crew.
Yeah, Schwenke and Coxon teammates, but I don't see any team orders happening between those two McLaren drivers. But they do have to watch behind them because those other Mustangs are definitely coming their way. Meanwhile, Takahashi is trying to defend on Steven Hudek. He's down the inside to try and hold that line. Of course, they're right up behind one of our GT3s. That's Chase West in that McLaren. Takahashi is looking for all sorts of space. All he's finding is nothing but cars as we go on board now with Steven Hudek. Hudek also just seeing nothing but tons of traffic, and this may play into his favor as he's able to get up alongside Takahashi. Not able to make the pass, though. Perhaps somewhere here, as they're both compromised, it's just a whole gaggle of GT3s in front of these two as they continue to work through this pack. Look at this grouping. There's now 3 of them together because that's your race leader, Dalton Fredericks, now with Takahashi and Hudek on his tail, and it's going to be the spinning to the side of Takahashi. Hudek goes underneath, and Takahashi didn't lose much, though, did he?
Yeah, I was expecting for something like that to happen. There is loads of action over here with the traffic, and a massive catch-up, though, for the likes of Fernando Takahashi and Steven Hudek. I mean, Dalton Fredericks was a good 3 seconds ahead of them a couple of laps ago, and now he's in the mainstream fight right now with Steven Hudek, extremely aggressive behind, trying to gather the lead once more. And as you can see, he's now gotten his way out of that GT3 pack. The likes of Takahashi still stuck inside of it, and so now it's clean air for the likes of Hudek and Fredericks, and it all comes down to driver skill and pure speed over here, coming through Parabolica though and into the hairpin. This is where Hudek is going to want to try and gain as much time as possible. There we go. Finally, Takahashi gets past the GT3 pack, and he can finally chase back onto the backside of Steven Hudek. But my goodness, Steven Hudek is making up loads of time here once again onto the backside of Fredericks, and the pressure is definitely on going into Mercedes.
Yeah, I think he's definitely got the speed, but I have a feeling there's some traffic that may have impeded Dalton Fredericks a little bit that helped Steven Hudek get up there a little bit quicker than maybe we expected. Now they've got a little bit of clean air here in front of them, and it is a mano-a-mano fight here between Hudek and Fredericks. Fredericks looking pretty solid, holding a good position. Hudek is looking for any possibility. Now, the longer they fight, the more likely Fernando Takahashi is going to re-enter the chat as he's only about a second back. Look at this down the inside for Steven Hudek. Can he make this stick through Sachs? He does for the moment, although they're still side by side through the tightest chicane of the entire course. And look at this. Frederick's going to keep the inside line through the 16 as they head down towards turn 1. Fredericks still with the advantage, and that's what I was talking about. Takahashi now in the red BMW right behind them. Fredericks now has 2 hunters.
Yeah, that was great management there from Takahashi through Sud Curve and managing to hold it off strongly through Nord Curve, though. It looks like Steven Hudek has gotten a little bit of a better run. And there's going to be contact. That looked a little bit too sharp from my camera angle.
And that's Robert Schwenkler.
And there's Schwenkler after a great recovery drive as well. The GTP class, my goodness, Larry, it is shaping up to be one of note.
Oh, this is crazy. While the other three were fighting it out, Schwenkler comes jumping in. And I think there may be some damage on Hudek and Takahashi. We'll have to see if they're going to have to do anything about that. Schwenkler, though, now trying to press onto Dalton Fredericks for the second spot. I can't believe we've got 4 GTPs in the same corner here. 30 minutes into a 75-minute race. This thing is completely undecided after the chaos we've had since the green flag. It continues now 20 laps in.
Yeah, usually what you see with the GTPs, especially with the high traffic, is that the pack actually begins to stretch out like a rubber band and they start to, disappear from each other a little bit. This is great to see 4 of them all going through Sachs and then Sud Curve, fighting for current active position. This is the battle for P1 though, but Steven Hudek has once again switched it around. He's up in front and pulling away neatly. Dalton Fredericks is trying to hold it off from Robert Schwenkler, who really did play a bit of an undercard over here. Nobody expected him, and there we go into the pit lane. Is that his first pit stop there for Steven Hudek, as he comes in for his one and only stop. And now Dalton Fredericks has got the likes of Schwenkler behind him through Nord Curve, though, trying to fight it out as strong as he can, carrying as much speed. He's got a GT3, though, for a little bit of slipstream. It's not going to be enough, though, as the likes of Schwenkler definitely still in the fight here, coming through Parabolica. He's going to have to watch his rear mirrors super close.
Yeah, he's been so fast, and I would suspect he's been really quick in traffic to be able to catch the front group like he did. Fredericks cannot rest at all right now. They've got a moment to at least breathe without a pack of GT3s in their way. But Frederick knows that right behind him is going to be that wrong stuff driver, Robert Schwenkler. And there is one of our GT3s just in front of them. Traffic is definitely coming.
Yeah, traffic is definitely. And both of them, Fernando Takahashi and Hudek, both of them meatballs on their on the sides of their HUD. And that was from that contact that they had going through the second corner, that sharp position, that sharp overtake attempt from Hudek, just not landing up to be a successful one. Michelle Squarick has made herself up to 3rd position, though, and Bobby Childs, obviously, with the 2 of them making a pit stop. Daniel Molina has also managed to recover back up to 5th position now for himself. So that's great stuff for him. And currently, Michelle Squarick in a little bit of a no man's land at the time being, coming through Sachs in the next coming couple of seconds. And a little bit of time to breathe in this very chaotic race. I'm sure it's something that everybody is wanting at the time being.
Oh, the damage to Hudek and Takahashi. That is so unfortunate. It takes away what was a 4-way battle for the lead. The contact didn't look like much. It looked like just a little bit of typical, side door type of damage, but enough of both of them given the meatball flag, and they are still in taking repairs on. That's good news, though, for Michelle Squirk, Bobby Childs, Daniel Molina, as they've all been able to move up now in this group. So, but it's at the top, though. It's a 2-car fight. Dalton Fredericks, Robert Schwenkler at the front of GTP.
Yeah, I think especially with the prototypes relying so heavily on their top speed advantage, their aero package is the most important part of that car. And even just a little bit of damage like we just saw after that hairpin contact that they had, it was enough for both of them to make the decision to pull that car in and get some repairs done to patch up, probably degrading the performance by enough to pull it out. Back on, though, with Steven Hudek and Fernando Takahashi. This might be the replays. We see them fighting around the GT3s.
Oh, there's contact.
And, that's actually the contact there with the likes of, that looks like Dalton Fredericks, who actually got a little bit of a back end. And that led to the position swap there through Sachs.
Yeah, that definitely could have been some of that damage on board there with that heavy contact under braking. So we flash back out to our live shot here as Robert Schwenkler continued to chase. Now that Schwenkler has, of course, Fredericks in his sight, they've got one of our Rockefeller Racing Mustangs right there in front of them. I catch a number on that car. That car trying to do everything they can just to stay out of the way of this overall lead battle going on between Dalton Fredericks and Robert Schwenkler. And look at the train of GT3s that's about to interrupt this battle of GTPs.
Yeah, this is where the action starts to play in with the traffic. There's been so much action especially from the online side for the people watching. We're already almost 40 minutes into this race, and that's how fast time has flown with all the action that's been going on. Schwenkler, my goodness, dicing it through the GT3s left and right over there. The lights are starting to look like Christmas all over again as they head through the hairpins over here, trying to navigate traffic, and Schwenkler has thankfully, Schwenkler gets a massive advantage there. It looks like the likes of Dalton Fredericks got a little bit of a disadvantage through the pack there. It almost looked like he was ready to make an overtake on the exit of the hairpin over there, coming through Mercedes. He is a little bit closer, and now trying to just hold on the backside of that GTP. I'm expecting a position, I'm expecting an overtake attempt to be made within the next 2 laps here from Schwenkler.
Yeah, we'll stick with this for a couple more minutes before we take our break, because I want to see this pass. I think Schwenkler is really aiming, especially with all this traffic in front. That looks like it's that Schwenky there, I believe, in the 16 in that GT3 car. And I don't think Travis wants to get out of the way at all, even though that's a battle behind him. But I'm sure there's a blue flag waving at him. He's trying to find the best place to at least get out of their way. Let's see if this is enough for Schwenkler going around Schwenky to now try and make a move on Fredericks as they go down through the Nord curve and onto that straightaway. It's a little bit of a draft. I don't think it's going to be enough this time for Schwenkler, but now they'll enter the Parabolica. What kind of an exit can the Wrong Stuff driver get? It actually looks like Fredericks in the number 20 may have gotten a better exit there.
Yeah, he definitely got a bit of a better launch over there. Possibly a little bit of tire spinning there from Schwenkler. He looked like he came out at a little bit of a sharper angle and not carrying as much speed out as he wants to. You can see he is nowhere near close enough to make an aggressive dive there through hairpin. Could have potentially been successful, but not this time. And both drivers taking slightly different lines over there. You can see the likes of Fredericks taking a little bit more of a conservative line through the hairpin, a little bit more relaxed, whereas Schwenkler is super hungry right now for an overtake. Much more aggressive in and out line over there, trying to gain as much speed on the exits as possible for the VRS. Very stylishly themed car over there, as he now comes through. Sachs out, just coming out of Mobile 1 over there, trying to gain as close as he can to Fredericks before the clock keeps on ticking. And Schwenkler, it's going to be close for him, but currently he is not going to be in that window to make the overtake just yet.
Not quite yet, and I start to wonder if the Porsche is getting a better push off of every single corner. You just watch Fredericks. Every time there's a slow hairpin, he gets a really good launch. Schwenkler struggled a little bit with that. Could be setup differences, could be the difference between the Porsche and the Cadillac. But I'll tell you what, while we've got them now separated by about a second, this may be a good chance for us to take our break as we've hit the top of the hour. So we'll take a breath, take a break, thank some of our sponsors, and we'll be right back. You're watching round 2 of the Ricmotech World Challenge here on Apex Racing TV.
Ricmotech, high-performance sim racing equipment. Whether you're just looking to have fun, train for race day, or become a serious esports competitor, Ricmotech has you covered. Hundreds of name brand parts. Support from experts that love sim racing. Trusted by the pros. There's only one place to go, Ricmotech.com.
The SCCA Foundation is a 501c3 organization serving as the charitable arm of the Sports Car Club of America. One of the programs partially funded by the foundation is the SCCA Academy, an online learning management system used to keep real-life racing track officials up to date on the highest standards of race safety and officiating. Through this program, the SCCA Foundation is supporting the future of the best trained corner workers and event officials in motorsport. You can support these efforts at www.sccafoundation.org. The search is over. The most comprehensive league scoring solution is here, with the ability for multi-level championships, custom incident tracking,
West, Andre's lost out completely.
Yeah, I'll try and do that. I just taking the chance to kind of reset on where everything's at, but let's definitely cover some more GT3s, and we are live. All right, well, welcome back to Hockenheim Ring. So, Tristan, as we were just chatting during the break there, we've got a lot of battles going on. One of them, of course, is the battle for second here in GT3 AM. Aaron Beaver has got some folks chasing him down.
Yeah, absolutely. Aaron Beaver trying to hold it out for second position. He's got Lucas Regata a little bit further in front, and that will be the lead for the GT3 AM class. So that's going to be his main objective at this moment and time. But Chase West only 3/10 behind the Acura over there. So he's going to be fighting it out as much as he can. Dan Carrito in 5th and Rocky Rocco in 6th for the GT3 AM, also fighting it out right now. They hold it progressively as well. And further down, Andre Wedderburn down in 9th position for the GT3 AM class, has lost a lot of positions in the last couple of laps. We saw it as well while while the ads were rolling a little bit there. Andre Wedderburn was in 3rd position. He's down to 9th already. Oh, and there's a spin for Aaron Beaver, unfortunately.
Wow. Yeah. Big spin. Yeah, I think Wedderburn may have actually taken his chance to pit during that time. Maybe what's going on. It's a lot of action happened. A lot of folks have come into the pits as we are now past the halfway mark in our 75-minute race. But I think we'll keep our eyes on Wedderburn as the race progresses, see if he can work his way back up as the rest of the field starts to make their pit stops. Let's check in with the race leader in GT3 Pro, and that is Jordan Ricmotech. Susan, we've got him on camera. We did see it. We apologize we weren't covering the front of this. He just wasn't being challenged, but there he is. Jordan Ricmotech leading the field right now, trying to stay ahead of Michael Brooks and Ken Copeland, currently running 2nd and 3rd. And I know that we had earlier the battle with Leo Dragota that was in there with Jordan Ricmotech. Leo had his issues. He's now quite a bit down the field. He's also taken his pit stops. We'll keep an eye on Leo's recovery run as the race goes on, as we go on board with Jordan here in the Mercedes through the stadium section. Just precision control in that car. That advantage, when you're out there ahead of the likes of Michael Brooks and Ken Copeland, you're doing quite well. And I think right now, with a couple of seconds advantage on both of them, Jordan's having a good run tonight.
Yeah, great stuff as it escalates further in the GT3 Pros. Also in our LMP2s, though, Ben Rose in 2nd and Jordan Butler fighting it out right now for the final podium, well, for the second last podium spot over there, as they are trying to navigate traffic together as well through the GT3 pack over here. And slowly but surely, Jordan has lost a little bit of time over there, down to 6/10 now. Just a couple of seconds ago, he was 3/10 behind, and after the traffic management dropping down slightly, as we can see it over there, though. But back down to our GT3 Pros, Jeff Jacobs in 12th is on the backside of Nick Reciputo. The battle for 11th is getting very shapy as well, with Tyler King and Ken Copeland, as they've just swapped out Ken Copeland into the pit lane. He goes, but Jeff Jacobs, it is tight for him right now in 12th position, though, in the GT3 Pro class. Further down, though, Stephen May is also trying to hold on to the backside of Rocky Rocco, as you can see with the traffic management. Oh, it's getting a little bit dicey over there, and a little bit of awareness and almost not coming into play there for the BMW driver.
Oh my goodness, that is Stephen May battling it out with Rocky Rocco, and of course with the LMP2 trying to come through at the same time. Didn't make it easier. Here's another one that's going to try and make his way through. I think it might be one of our SRT esports entries, trying to make his way through the GT3s, and it's just not easy when you got Rocky Rocco, Stephen May in their own battle. They've got their own thing going on. They're not going to want to give it up that easily. Now it looks like opportunity for the 44 to make his way through. Oh, that is actually Hudak.
Yeah, that's who they're getting past in the Nord curve over there. Thankfully finding a nice little spot up on the inside line. And on the live time, he's still showing with a meatball. Not too sure if he's fixed his issues. I mean, he looks like he's running quite smoothly for the time being.
Yeah, with 6 minutes or so of repairs, he's a couple of laps down here. Probably not really in much of a fight, but he's going to get the seat time in. And who knows? Things may happen. He might be able to move up a position or two. Meanwhile, this battle of Rocco and May continuing. This is the battle for 5th in GT3 AM. And these two fighting, they're not going to be able to quite catch up to Dan Carrito the more that these two fight. Carrito is doing his own run there to try and catch up to Aaron Sunday and Chase West. But really the leader in GT3 AM is kind of the story there. Lucas Dragota, not Leo, that is the other Dragota brother, Lucas, who's got a significant lead. We'll check in on Lucas. There he is, flashing lights and all at the back of Cohen, I believe. That is Adam Cohen in that Ferrari. Your AM leader, yeah, just giving him the light saying, I'd like to come through. And the Speed Lab driver complying to the Dragonsport Racing driver as they head down. More traffic ahead, though, for Lucas, as Alex Crow is doing what he can to fight through his traffic, as Crow now sitting in third would like to catch up to Caleb Lehman, who just took the lead in LMP2 because Justin Barrera just pit.
Yeah, so just coming into the pit lane now, Justin Barrera is going to park it off. He was holding off in second, and so Caleb Lehman now holding off quite neatly in first position. He's got a 7-second gap from Alex Crow in second with the LMP2 class. Been scouring through our GT3 pack trying to find any action. Unfortunately, it looks like action, and then someone jumps into a pit lane, and so that's why the live timing goes crazy.
And this time, it's Jordan Ricmotech is the one diving into the pits. He's your race leader in GT3 Pro. That hands the lead in that class over to Michael Brooks. So Ricmotech in for his scheduled stop here at just about the 45-minute window. That's about we expect to be the maximum in these GT3s is right around this point. You can see at this point they're in the 27th lap. Going to be difficult to get 28, 29 laps out of this. I see Lucas Tragoda, Michael Brooks are going to give that a shot, but they should be in on the next lap. As that was a big slide there. I think that was Jake Vasconcelos having his issues. Yeah.
Is that Caleb Lehman? Oh, no, that's Jake Vasconcelos, who's come off the track. And we'll probably get a replay of what happened to him over there. He's actually towed himself back to the pit lane. So not too sure what happened over there coming out of Nord Curve. We saw the smoke in the left bottom corner of the camera. Looked like he possibly got shoved outside there. But we'll try and get a replay for our online audience over there just to see what happened. He is sitting in pit lane with that toe cooldown. Yeah. And multiple incidents.
Looks like a replay.
Having a look at the replay outside on Nord Curve. And just on the inside, double tap and a third tap over there. Unfortunately, just three-way. And that's not going to do well for the camber of that GTP whatsoever. The GT LMP2, sorry.
Yeah, they're usually a pretty durable car, but that was a lot of hits from a lot of different vehicles. So for Jake, that means he's in for the repairs, and that may end up doing it for the night. We'll have to check in later. Meanwhile, lots of other pits actions are happening. Michael Brooks, who had the lead for a moment in the GT3s, he's in the pits, which I believe then Lucas Tragoda, your AM leader, also into the pits right now. That leaves Brian Coxon in the McLaren as your overall leader right now in GT3 Pro until he makes his pit stop, very likely in a short while. Meanwhile, Babaletsko's in a battle right now, and I think that's with Justin Barrera in the LMP2s.
Yeah, both of them now fighting. They've been at this point a little bit early on in the race, the two of them fighting it out, and now the 419 has got the inside line. That's Justin Barrera holding it on the hairpin, and he's going to have the better rotation out of that corner. Very efficient and clean move over there from Barrera, but it's not going to be a let off there from Bobby as he still holds on in the back through Mercedes, trying to find an alternative line. Takes to the inside. Enormous Barrera doesn't see him there on the outside, trying to tuck it in. That was very close there to almost a front-end dicing incident.
That was an aggressive move for Babaletskos. I'm glad Barrera saw him coming there through that kink corner, and they did. But boy, that was so close to contact. Barrera still able to hold the position. Babaletskos very aggressive through those sections. Starting to wonder about how many more times you can get away with a move like that.
Yeah, absolutely. It's a little bit risky and it's a little bit dicey, but he's realized that we've gotten past the halfway point now. He doesn't have as much time as he thought he had to make up as many positions as he possibly wants to. Barrera there, you can see how much he's pushing. That's Babaletskos touching the grass now, coming out of Soot Curve. And so he's really trying to push that LMP2 as hard as he can, keeping onto the backside of Barrera. Alex Crow is also a little bit further ahead, 12 seconds. And so that's going to be the two of their mission. They should actually try and play it a bit together and give each other the slipstream advantage to catch up towards Alex Crow. As I believe everybody here in this front pack of the LMP2s are finished with their pit stops. So this is now down to pure racing from now on.
Yeah, it's going to come down to it, and these two fighting it out for a potential podium spot as they've caught up to one of our GT3 cars, and I'm sure that no one's going to be playing nice at this stage of the race now with about 25 minutes left in it, as Ricmotech does not want to yield easily. He'll give a little bit of space. Doesn't maybe want to interrupt the battle too much, but of course, He's in a battle of his own. Doesn't really need to be interrupted on that. Meanwhile, we can check in with what's going on at GT3 Pro, as now I think our pit stops have cycled through, and it is Michael Brooks in front of Jordan Ricmotech. So we've actually got a pass for the lead following the pit stop, and battle is on at GT3 Pro as the wrong stuff driver, Michael Brooks, as the Brooks clan is going to go wild in the chat. Ricmotech, as well as his fan club, Susan's going to be going crazy here in a bit too. We've got a battle not only happening in GTP and LMP2, but we've got it right here at the front of GT3 Pro.
Yeah, always great to see the diversity here over all the multi-class racing of here. But as we just heard from production, Jordan Ricmotech, slightly slower pit stop there, and that's exactly why Michael Brooks got the jump on them, though. Through Sachs, we can see one of the LMP2s trying to sift their way through it as they're trying to get past as fast as they can, now tucked in between the two GT3s. And that's not going to play out for Jordan Ricmotech. He's going to lose a little bit of time here to Michael Brooks as he gets to pull away. But thankfully, the LMP2 squeezes up on the inside line. So now right back on the outside. And Jordan Ricmotech actually got a little bit of an advantage there through Sud Curve. It looks like Michael Brooks got slightly disadvantaged with exit speed over there, trying to let the LMP2 through. And now through North Curve, you can see on the front end nose here of Ricmotech, he is getting closer towards corner 2 and 3. As he will try and build up the momentum to make an overtake, possibly into the hairpin.
Lots of traffic up ahead, so they're going to have to manage this as they get down towards the hairpin, and that traffic may be also getting slowed with LMP2s trying to make their way through. Meanwhile, one of our DNA entry LMP2s right there behind, I think that might be the 5 of Ben Rose, trying to clear this crowd and clear this GT3 battle, but he's not going to be able to. So Ricmotech is going to be stuck behind an LMP2 going through that hairpin. Maybe catch a little draft off the back of him here as they head down towards Mercedes.
Yeah, a little bit further back as well. Ethan Bass in 6th, with Brian Coxon just behind him now. 0.3 of a second. They're fighting hard as well. Almost an overtake from Coxon. While we were looking at the live timings board, he was just about 0.009 of a second behind, and he was practically alongside him. And as you can see, both of them taking alternative lines, 2 different beasts over here, 1 front engine, 1 mid engine. And so the twin turbo V8 of the McLaren will take slightly different lines, though. A little bit of contact. Ricmotech on the outside.
Whoa,
it's a good
what
save.
A save.
My goodness, through Sachs he comes, and my goodness, he must be feeling the pressure from that. The sand trap almost pulled him into the depths over there, as he gets shoved wide a little bit from Brooks, but wow, what a save from Ricmotech.
Oh, beautiful save. Stays right with it, just keeps on going. And the battle continues. Also at GT3, we've got a couple other battles. You mentioned the Coxon and Bass battle. We've got a Dragota Copeland fight going on as well for 3rd. So down through the top 7, 3 different fights happening nearly nose to tail. For Dragota, remember, he was one of the quickest we've seen all night, had that one issue, that one contact with the wall. And so we're going to get another replay here. This is the replay of Ricmotech. This should be his save coming up here. A little bit of a wiggle there for Brooks. Ricmotech up along the outside, and this is where they go in through. This should be through 11 at the Mobile 1 curve. And is there contact? There is. Ooh. That's why Ricmotech was out there. Just a little door-to-door contact. He looks like Brooks tried to leave him room, but, you know, it's real estate's at a premium.
Yeah, GT3 Racing can get a little bit door bashy. Thankfully built a little bit stronger than these prototypes, so they can allow for that. But looks like Ricmotech tried to take the aggressive outside line there. Brooks just not realizing how much he was planing left, and unfortunately making a tad bit of contact, but not too much to the point where it has caused severe consequences. Incredible save once again. But further back, though, Leo Dragota is now on the back of Ken Copeland. You mentioned this earlier. They were about a second away from each other, but now Leo Dragota is right on the backside of Ken Copeland. It's Merc versus Lamborghini in a different circumstance now. Again, 2 completely different machines. We've got a mid-engine V10 versus the front-engine V8. Who's got the better drive through Sachs? It's a risky line, though, and I could see that coming from a long shot. Way too aggressive for Dragota over there, as he held the inside line. Front wheel to back wheel was not even applicable, and that is a complete spin around there. The likes of Ken Copeland losing that drive completely. We'll get a replay of that just now, just to see what happened, but not the cleanest move in history there. Brooks once again holding on the backside now of one of the LMPs, one of the GTPs, but through Sachs over here, you can see just going off, and that's what made the position, the aggression over there, but just not enough space for Dragota, and tossing off Ken Copeland to the side. Super unfortunate there.
All right, sorry about that, guys. A little audio trouble there, but I am now back, and this battle is continuing as Rick Sagrini still trying to chase down Brooks, and I'm starting to wonder if maybe they're going to be going slow enough for the rest of the field to get them. I see Dragotta now is up into that third spot. 10 seconds, though, is a lot to overcome in about 20 minutes' time. The way that Brooks and Rick Sagrini are going, who knows what could happen.
Yeah, who knows what could happen. Battle for 7th, though, in our GT3 AM with Rocky Rocco and Neil Weston is also getting pretty tight right now. Neil Weston right on the backside of Rocky Rocco, and this could be a switch around for the 7th in GT3 AM for Rocky Rocco in P7. You can see them fighting over here, trying to manage traffic. Neil Weston is getting closer there for the BMW driver over there, just behind the Ford Mustang. 2 front engines. They do have one behind them. I do not believe that's of the same class. That is one of the GT3 Pros over there, just trying to fend off as well. But for the GT3 AMs, this is the fight right now. Neil Weston will hold it on through Sachs. Please do not make the same risky move we just saw. It's almost identical, but thankfully not just yet. And the Mustang holds around the outside line. Pretty smooth sailing there for the 2 drivers. Coming through Soot Curve, though. And, very, very late on the brakes there for the likes of Neil Weston. That almost looked a little bit risky.
Yeah, Weston's had success in this series starting in last season. Tonight, a little further down the order, but that doesn't mean the battle is intense. Rocky Rocco, the heart of the Rockefeller Racing team, and he is going to be defending that position over Weston as long as he can. Meanwhile, that's Travis Schwenke, who's running 4th in GT3 Pro and doesn't really want to interrupt their battle, but you know what? He'd like to get on with it and try and catch up to his teammate, Leo Dragotta, up there. That may have just happened right there. Yeah, as it looks like Weston has let Schwenke get between them, and so maybe Weston and that BMW will start using the McLaren of Schwenke, maybe a bit of a draft, and maybe even try and follow Schwenke around Rocco when they get to the next back towards the stadium section.
Yeah, GT3 Pro, the lead is switching around though. Rick Sagrini got up in front of Michael Brooks, but once again, Brooks getting a better exit on one of the corners is back out in front. We saw it on the live timings board. There was a quick swap around, but it's back to normal standings now coming through Mercedes, Mobil 1 and Sachs. It's now going to come down who's got the better grit over here. We've seen the aggression and the consistency from Rick Sagrini trying to get past Brooks and hoping for a clean race over here and not contact like we've seen on previous laps. And you can see there, the Mercedes is super hungry over here. The V8 is trying to chomp on the backside of that Lamborghini as he tries to get past as fast as possible. Now coming through Soot Curve, he's got a good drive though onto the back straight, and this could potentially be an overtake coming up for Rick Sagrini right on the backside. He's going to have the slipstream, looks up on the inside line. Please don't try it through Nord Curve. That fat curve will send you flying out left, and thankfully Rick Sagrini takes it in and the Tucker, and now the LMP2 trying to get past them and manage traffic through turn 2.
That's Caleb Lehman. That's your LMP2 leader trying to get past these two, and he may have just interrupted the battle. He possibly caused Michael Brooks a bit of a compromised exit there. We'll see if that causes any opportunity now to Rick Sagrini as they're going to be drafting down the Parabolica towards the hairpin. Both of them now trying to draft off the back of Lehman, your LMP2 leader. No change of position, no dive move this time through for Rick Sagrini as they go into the hairpin. But I tell you, I think you've seen it. Rick Sagrini very smooth through the likes of Soot Curve, through Sachs. I think he's got an advantage in this tighter section. He just hasn't been able to find any place to make a move.
Yeah, and a little bit further on behind with Ken Copeland. Obviously, he had a bit of a traumatic experience a little bit further. Oh, that did not look like something you see in normal books, and thankfully no contact with the walls. Almost looks like that one YouTube video where the Mustang loses his brakes and tries to stop himself, and thankfully getting back on track. That looked very odd, almost like a net code or some form of control issue. He just flicked completely left over there.
Yeah, almost like he lost his sim rig steering wheel or something. He needs to call the folks at Ricmotech and maybe order some new equipment. But he is back underway. Unbelievably, didn't make any contact anywhere. I'm just stunned. Meanwhile, speaking of no contact, we've got our battle continuing here. Rick Sagrini trying to chase down Brooks as Anna Brooks is in the chat, going wild, literally cheering on Michael here in this battle for the lead in GT3 Pro. We're coming down to 16 minutes to go in this race, and these two have been nose to tail pretty much since they came out of the pit stops just less than 10 minutes ago. In traffic, I got to figure traffic's going to play a part in this, who wins this here in GT3.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, we've still got a couple of minutes left over here, about 15 minutes left of racing, and the GT3 Pro class is up in the air at the moment as it stands. They're one of the best fights out on track in terms of relative to each other. Everybody else is spaced away from each other pretty decently. We've got a couple of fighting down in the GT3 AM class, but not close enough just yet to get some action points going. Currently, Segrini versus Brooks is a headline title over here at Hockenheim Ring, coming through Saxon Mobile 1. It is closer and closer each lap, but with both cars' differences, they both have their strong points. The Huracan being so much quicker through the corners over here, but the Merc having much better straight line speed and aggression over these curbs. It's now the comparison of the two GT3s, though, as we flash back a little bit there just to see how the rest of the race is going. The action points keep on going, though, through Sax, though. Almost another bit of interest there, almost like a Delgado versus Copeland. I mean, it's practically the same fight, exact same cars, exact same colors. You could technically get hypnotized with these two.
Yeah, and I do start to wonder if perhaps the curbs are a little bit easier in the Mercedes for Rick Segrini. Brooks, although this time they both go out to the dirt there, opposite curb, and now it's to the inside for Segrini. They're going to go in through that, contact to the north curb, and that's going to send Brooks wide to the left. He's not going to lose on the fight entirely, but that is certainly going to cost him about 4 or 5 seconds, as that was that door-to-door contact, maybe a little bit of payback for their contact earlier. I don't know, but the fight isn't over. But that was certainly an aggressive move, and I think Rick Segrini had the position. I think perhaps maybe a little bit late on his turning point, if you were to ask Michael Brooks. But let's get a replay of this one.
Yeah, now on the replay, I think that was definitely a little bit of a love tap revenge over there from what he experienced a couple laps back. You can see that he's definitely front tire to rear tire, and just a little bit of a left nudge there, trying to correct himself for Brooks. And just having to veer off to the left side of the track there to avoid losing the rear there of that Lamborghini. Thankfully, no wall contact at all, but he has lost his momentum now, 1.7 seconds now from the lead of the GT3 Pro class, and that is our one and only fight that has dropped off a little bit. Back on though with Nick Risaputo with Jeff Jacobs behind him. He's chasing down on Ken Copeland a little bit further on in front. As they keep on fighting, though, Dan Carrito is currently holding off in second in his Logitech Acura NSX theme style car. And it looks like the current fight we have Aaron Beaver in fifth, with Stephen May currently leading behind him in sixth position. And as they keep on fighting themselves, you can see Stephen May now 5 tenths behind. He has been fighting for quite a while, the number 53. On the backside of Aaron Beaver, the Acura NSX. Again, two very different GT3 style cars, and you don't think it comes into play in a multi-class race, but it really does, especially down to the wire in terms of finite position here with the GT3 fighting. And those car choices do come in handy when it comes to certain track types. Some cars preference certain tracks, and so it's pretty even here at Hockenheim Ring. There's a good balance of very tight corners, slow speed corners and fast speed corners, as well as a couple of straights. So it's a relatively balanced here for our GT3 class.
Well, we've had a couple of incidents that are probably going to affect the standings in the end. We were watching earlier the battle of Neil Weston as he was in that battle there with Rocco here. He's been given a black flag. Leo Dragota, in an incident, I believe with Ken Copeland, was given a black flag. Dragota just served it I saw him in the background. Now Dragota's going to come out right ahead of Ethan Bass. So your season 13 and your season 12 GT3 Pro champions are now heads up here for the last step of the podium at the ring. As we get a replay here, a big spin for Fernando Takahashi right in front of a couple other GTPs.
Yeah, he almost parks that on the middle, but Hudek gets past him there after that spin. Hudek coming around the hairpin, almost saw the sideline there of a red GTP, but thankfully Takahashi managing to pull it off the sideline over there. But now Hudek will have the lead over here for fifth position, the battle for fifth. It is definitely one that's going to carry on for a bit, though, because Takahashi is going to want to try and get back into the fighting pack, though. Out the pit lane comes Leo Dragado, just serving that penalty like Larry has mentioned, and coming out of the pit lane now into turn 2. He's still managing to keep third position, actually, which is quite incredible. So he hasn't lost too much there, which is great.
Yeah, there's been a couple of penalties issued that have shuffled things around a little bit, but I think when we get back to live here, we'll show the battle there between Dragota and Bass for that third step on the podium, while there is still a battle to be had between Rick Segrini and Brooks for the top step. So nothing decided there. There is Dragota. You can see 1.3 seconds back is that Mustang, Ethan Bass. Again, these are the last two champions in the class fighting it out for the third step tonight. And there is Michael Brooks. He's down but not out. He's 2 seconds back. He's about 10 minutes to go in this thing. But the way things have gone, Jordan Riccigrini's lead is not necessarily safe. As you can see him just in front, a little bit of traffic that Riccigrini is going to catch as they are now going through Sachs, I believe that is. So it's going to be tight.
Yeah, definitely going to be tight. I mean, the gap between Riccigrini and Brooks a couple of laps back just after their incident was 1.6 seconds. Riccigrini now pulling 2.3 seconds between the likes of them. So Riccigrini definitely showing that pace and trying to pull away as far as he can. This is the battle, though, for first position. Lucas Dragota has jumped up to first right now for the GT3 AM class, and Dan Corrido in the Acura NSX is trying to fight his way up and potentially try and contest for P1 over here. It's definitely possible. Stephen May has been on the backside of Aaron Beaver for the past couple of laps over here in 6th position. Not too sure if he's going to get the overtake made. If he wants it, though, he's going to need to fight it, though, coming into the next couple of 10 minutes. The race is now starting to get to the closing factors. And so if this is what Stephen May wants, he's going to need to try and find a position to fight around the traffic and get across the blue NSX.
Yeah, lots of battles still happening as we're inside of 10 minutes to go, as we got a good shot of some LMPs trying to get on through some of this GT3 field, as you've got May even talking about there in that fight now with Aaron Beaver between that BMW and that Acura driver. That is for the 5th position here in GT3 AM. But I think Lucas Dragota, who's right behind them, is pretty safe in the field, but he certainly doesn't want to mess with the battle down the order and potentially ruin his race. He's got a pretty substantial lead on Dan Corrido and Chase West, but Dragota probably going to be playing it safe here at this stage.
Yeah, Dragota is going to be wanting to try and keep that lead as much as possible. 2.6 seconds gap to the driver behind him of Dan Corrido, so he's got a lot of breathing room as it stands. But flashing back now, Dalton Fredericks, our P1 for GTP, still holding off strong. 23 seconds lead from himself over here in first position to the likes of Michelle Squarick, but she's going to be thrilled with that, a P2 if she can hold on for the next couple of minutes, as we're now heading towards 9 to 8 minutes left of racing over here, but still on board with Dalton Fredericks. You can see now on board with the orange, teal blue, and silver or white GTP car there of Michelle Squarick, and she's busy fighting around traffic in a bit of no man's land once again, but still an incredible drive. She's been super consistent here in this race. Bobby Childs and Robert Schwenkler down in 3rd and 4th as well. Caleb Lehman is holding off strong, though, for first position right now in the LMP2 class, as he keeps on fending it out strong. But the fighting is continuing, though. Ken Copeland down in 10th position right now is fighting off strong. He's just behind Tyler King for the battle for GT3 Pro here. 9th position is definitely on the line, as they're currently stuck in a bit of traffic, but Ken Copeland trying to recover after that incident he had with Bragada. And through Soot Curve, he's definitely close, but he does have a hypercar behind him trying to get around. And so he's going to have to put that into the back burners and put it into effect. The Merc goes off into the grass, though. This is overtaking opportunity here for Ken Copeland, holding off for the inside line of Nord Curve. It might get touchy over here. The Merc completely ramping and eating the curb. It's what it's used to doing, and the Lamborghini having to just sit behind, unfortunately. He's still got a couple of minutes to keep going, though. But this is going to be the fight for P10, P9 of the GT3 Pro class.
Yeah, a little bit of safer side-by-side that time than we had seen earlier with Riccigrini and Brooks. This time Copeland erring a little bit on the softer side to not push it too hard. You know, what we haven't talked much about is the results we had 2 weeks ago at Road Atlanta, but real quick, the GTPs, while Michelle Squarick sitting right now in line potentially to finish second, she was second place 2 weeks ago. That race in GTP was won by Daniel Molina. Well, he's not much of a factor tonight with the issues he's had. Dalton Fredericks, of course, leading this thing. He was on the podium, 3rd step there at that opening round. So Fredericks and Squarick trying to find their way back to the podium here in round 2. And there is Dalton leading this race right now by a pretty comfortable 20 seconds plus, as he would like to complete this race. 7 minutes to go there in GTP. LMP2, we'll check in with them what they were 2 weeks ago. It was Justin Barrera that won the LMP2 race, and with Alex Crow and Josh Chinsky on the podium. Right now, Crow with a good shot here. Barrera sitting in 3rd, but it's Lehman who showed up tonight to get himself an opportunity, and he's right now got that 30-second lead on the rest of the field. There he is, the SRT eSport driver, Caleb Lehman in LMP2. The GT3 race. Oh, go ahead.
No, go for it. Keep going.
Yeah, the GT3 Pros 2 weeks ago, it was Elvis Rankin who tonight decided to only join the chat. Probably has some other things going on. We appreciate it when he can race. What a race he put on. Had to serve a drive-through penalty and still won the race by several seconds over Leo Dragotta and Nick Risaputo there in the opening round GT3 Pro. GT3 Am, it was Lucas Dragotta finishing ahead of Chester Guidry and Dan Carrito in that Road Atlanta fight round 1. And tonight, Lucas out there trying to do it again.
Yeah, Lucas has been holding that GT3 Am lead for practically this entire race, as it seems. Even through the pit stops, he managed it pretty well to keep himself nicely in the lead, though. On board, though, with Leo Dragotta in the Pro division. This is obviously the driver who had the contact with Ken Copeland a little bit earlier. He holds off currently in 3rd position for the Pro Series of GT3 over here. Just in front of him, though, is the other Dragotta of Lucas in 1st position for the GT3 Am. Ethan Bass is behind him, though. Could potentially contest him here for the final podium spot of the GT3 Pro class. As you can see over here, the Mustang just a little bit further behind. And he's got a couple of minutes left to try and make a move over here. He's got about 4 minutes left of racing. It's not a lot, but definitely something can happen. Coming through in the next couple of corners, though, the fighting is very much on, though. As we mentioned, Tyler King and Ken Copeland. Ken has managed to find his way around, and Tyler King trying to just keep on scrambling behind and keep on the backside of that Lamborghini for the next 4 minutes.
Yeah, you were talking about that battle going on there between Leo Dragotta and of course Ethan Bass. Bass actually closing in quickly as Dragotta had been up about 2 seconds, and I'm starting to wonder now if Leo may be fighting a bit of fuel save here at the end of this thing, giving an opportunity there to Ethan in the Mustang to maybe try and catch him in the closing laps. We're about 4 minutes to go, and for Bass, it may be an opportunity if there's a fuel issue going on with that Orion Mercedes.
I mean, it looks like it. I mean, he, like you mentioned, Ethan Bass is really starting to close in these final couple of corners. I mean, the previous lap he was about 1.1 seconds. He's now down to 5/10 behind the Mercedes driver over there of Leo Dragotta. So coming down to the final wirings over here, if this is a fuel issue for Leo Dragotta, it's going to be a sad end to his story, because it doesn't look like it's the same case for Ethan Bass. He's pushing that Mustang to absolute extremities here through Sachs. You can see he is closing that gap slowly but surely. The 219 is starting to close in as much as he possibly can, coming through to Soot Curve now, and the number 5 over here for him. He's up 3 positions, which is great stuff for him as well, wanting to continue this trend and bring himself up into the final podium spot here for the GT3 Pros.
Yeah, we're going to keep an eye on our overall race leader, of course, Dalton Fredericks, still with about 3 minutes to go, and he's out there turning laps about 1.5 minutes, so it could be about 2 laps or so when he comes by the start finish for Dalton Fredericks right now, with a lead of about 18 seconds on Michelle Squirrick and Bobby Childs, your top 3 there in the GTPs. And it's been a pretty good run for Bobby there in the D2D entry, kind of surviving some of the chaos that the rest of that class seemed to suffer. Schwenkler sitting in 4th, one of those drivers that definitely had some issues. Of course, Stephen Hudak, Fernando Takahashi, and some others that definitely had some struggles. Meanwhile, Leo Dragotta still under pressure from Ethan Bass.
This is going to be the fighting chance now for him. This is the final battle that we basically have on. Aaron Sunday and Aaron Beaver also fighting for 4th position. This is actually a switch around, though, for 4th for the GT3 AMs, as they are getting very dicey. It looks like there might have been contact there between the Porsche and the NSX. A little bit of dirt being thrown up there, but Aaron Beaver holding off on the lead there from Aaron Sunday. It's the battle of the Aarons over here, Porsche versus Acura. Who's going to be better? And as you can see, a very slow Porsche over there for Aaron Sunday. This is where the fighting came in through Sachs, holding off the inside line, though, and that is indeed contact. That's where I saw the dust coming up, and a little bit of fighting there through Mercedes, and thankfully relatively clean. Unfortunately, a bit of a slowdown there for Sunday. Not too sure what happened to him, though, in the 331 Porsche.
Yeah, not quite sure what was going on there, but we're going to try and keep an eye on all. 1.5 minutes or 2 minutes here. We'll keep our eyes on Dalton Fredericks, the overall race leader, to see when that white flag comes out. We're getting pretty darn close. Next time he comes by, there is Dalton, number 20. Keep an eye on him. This next time by should be white flag in the air. Signaling one more lap when he comes by the starter stand in just a few corners. Of course, he's right there on the heel of one of our Rockefeller Racing entry in one of those Mustangs. That should be white flag now for Dalton Fredericks.
Yeah, and I mean, he's super relaxed coming into these final couple of corners. 17 seconds of a gap to the driver behind, number 75 of the Ferrari hypercar. the GTP. So he's really got a lot of free space to work with here. He's got some traffic management, and obviously Caleb Lehman's behind him there in the LMP2s, but no threat to him. It's a completely different class, and it's a completely different race over here. So as you can see, sifting through past the Rockefeller Mustang over there, down through Parabolica. And the fighting is still continuing, though, as we currently go on board with Leo Dragota. And Ethan Bass has made the position count. He's jumped up in front through Mercedes. And I think it might actually be fuel saving there from the likes of Leo Dragota. He lost way too much time too quickly.
Yeah, I think you're right. And he's just given up that position. He maybe has a chance to fight back, but he's got some LMP2s that are going to make that difficult. Meanwhile, Dalton Fredericks just a couple of corners away from seeing checker flag right now, as looks like he's making his way down toward the Mobile 1 and into Sachs for the final time for the GTP driver Dalton Fredericks, now with a lead of 15 seconds. He's at this point just kind of hitting his marks, finishing this out. Michelle Squirk, Bobby Childs in a position to podium with just a couple of corners left. But in GT3 Pro, it's been Jordan Rick Segrini opening up his lead there. Leo Dragotas had pretty much a stranglehold on GT3 AM since the beginning. And of course, Caleb Lehman and LMP2. But tonight, it's Dalton Fredericks night, taking the win in GTP. And right behind him, I believe, is going to be Caleb Lehman, also going to take the win there in LMP2. As that is a bit of a spin there, as Barrera and Crow coming together, trying to finish out the podium. They go nose to tail. Crow continuing, Barrera still there. This is going to be contested right to the end. I'm sure the stewards are going to take a look at that, but that you did not expect to see just 3 corners from the finish.
What on earth have we just witnessed coming onto the final lining over there through Sachs? It looked like someone tried to make a final position here coming into the closing sections of this race. And I believe that was Justin Barrera behind Alex Crow, who was holding off second there. Thankfully, no switch around in the standing second and third, so not going to be looked at probably too intensely, but still contact nonetheless. And Justin Barrera pulling off now. Let's go back on there with Alex Crow, as you can see it over here. And through he goes, but that's already the checkered flags. He goes across after the incident already happened. So, yeah.
I tell you what, let's quickly check in with our class leaders who have won the races, and then we'll take that quick break and come on back for some interviews. But we're definitely going to be talking a little bit about this incident that we're seeing here in this replay. And there it is into the back between them. But tonight, it's Dalton Fredericks' night, taking the victory. And then, of course, in GT3 Pro, it's been Jordan Rick Segrini able to hold off Michael Brooks to take the win there. And then, of course, in GT3 AM is Lucas Dragota taking the win for the Dragon Sport Racing. So let's go ahead and take a quick break, and when we come back, we'll interview some of our drivers and winners, and watching the Ricmotech World Challenge here on Apex Racing TV.
Is a 501c3 organization serving as the charitable arm of the Sports Car Club of America. One of the programs partially funded by the foundation is the SCCA Academy, an online learning management system used to keep real-life racing track officials up to date on the highest standards of race safety and officiating. Through this program, the SCCA Foundation is supporting the future of the best trained corner workers and event officials in motorsport. You can support these efforts at www.sccafoundation.org.
Ricmotech high-performance sim racing equipment. Whether you're just looking to have fun, train for race day, or become a serious esports competitor, Ricmotech has you covered. Hundreds of name brand parts. Support from experts that love sim racing. Trusted by the pros. There's only one place to go, Ricmotech.com.
The search is over. The most comprehensive league scoring solution is here, with the ability for multi-level championships, custom incident tracking, post-race time penalties, support for heats, drop weeks display, multi-car team scoring, advanced web widgets, rookie championships, a custom paint system, and load those results in seconds. Visit extremescoring.info today.
Ricmotech high-performance sim racing equipment. Hundreds of name brand parts. Expert support. Ricmotech has you covered. There's only one place to go. Ricmotech.com.
World Challenge from the Hockenheim ring. And what a race, what an ending it was tonight. Unbelievable stuff. Let's bring up those final results. Take a look. So in the prototypes, the overall winner tonight, Dalton Fredericks, taking the win in the GTPs. Michelle Squirk and Zach Bobby Childs coming home on the podium in third for D2D Sim Racing. And then, of course, in the LMP2s, your winner there tonight, Caleb Lehman from SRT Esport, holding off Alex Crow and Justin Barrera. And I think Alex and Justin need to go maybe share a beer or something after their finish right there at the end, but they both end up on the podium.
Yeah, and then the GT3s, the top three, Jordan Rixagrini will take first position. Michael Brooks takes it in second for the Wrong Stuff Racing team. And Ethan Bass with a last-minute change there for the Orbit Drop Bear Motorsports team will round off our top three for the GT3 Pros. Our AMs, though, Lucas Dragata for the Dragon Sport Racing will take P1 with Chase West from the Lead Paul Racing in second. And third to rock off our podium for GT3 AM, Dan Corrido for the DCR Sim Racing team. Incredible results, though, from top to bottom of our grid.
All right, so tell you what, let's see who we've got in our interview tonight. We've got Dalton Fredericks, our overall race leader, joining us. So let's see what Dalton's got to say about his race. All right, so Dalton Fredericks joining us. Hey, Dalton, heck of a race. That's start of the race, a bit chaotic, and then, of course, the fight that was going on there. It seemed, I think there were about four of you there all at one time. Tell me a bit about how that was going down, how much pressure you were under to hold the lead with three others chasing you down.
Oh man, I tell you what, I was definitely not expecting to have the day I had. With seeing other people's lap times, I was just like, oh, okay, I'll just ride mid-pack, just get some points, call it a day. That was my goal. I was not thinking we were going to be running up front. This race was definitely a survival race, big time. I've never driven this track before. This was actually my first race on this track, so I kind of had no clue what I was doing. At the start of this race, it was like, well, we're going to try this out and hope it works. So we just try to stay as clean as possible, try to give as much room to GT3 cars as much as we could. I know there's some iffy spots, but I mean, you're always going to have that. But yeah, we had some great fights. We were able to drive defensively really well and keep the guys we needed behind us, and drive off to a wonderful race or wonderful win.
Yeah,
I mean,
and go ahead.
Yeah, sure. Seems like it really worked for you there because rocking off on the podium slot, and that's a great result as well, following on from last week. And just wanted to talk as well, we obviously saw the contact with Fernando Takahashi there through Sachs on one of the laps. What was the damage feeling like on the prototypes here at around Hockenheim Ring?
Yeah, after that, I could have swore I had some sort of damage. Like I was confused on if my wing was possibly gone or not, because my rear end, to me, felt like it was definitely a little looser. So I was just like, you know what, the car's driving all right. I'm still making good pace. I'll just stick it out and keep going. And when I pitted, it didn't say I had any damage. So we were rock solid.
That's absolutely great. And tire wear, how did that feel? Obviously, you did have the one stop here at Hockenheim Ring, but how did the tire wear feel before and after stops?
Yeah, so I didn't take tires on this race. I figured these tires would be able to last, and I was hoping it maybe give me a few more seconds out on the track because the battle was pretty close until something happened in the hairpin with P2, I believe. Their time started dropping pretty quick. But anyways, yeah, at the end there, tires were not happy. I tell you what, they were not happy with me, sliding all over the place. That's why I was running pretty slow laps. I was just trying to maintain them, not wreck, and just make it to the end.
Yeah, absolutely incredible. And I mean, next week we head to the likes of Sebring. No, not next week. Sorry, in 2 weeks' time we head to the likes of Sebring. How are you feeling for that for the next round of the Ricmotech World Challenge?
Yeah, I feel really confident with Sebring. Sebring's one of my most favorite tracks. To any track we go to, Sebring's definitely one that's on my list that we definitely have a good shot at winning. I know we have a lot of pace there at Sebring, and I'm excited for it. And I believe it's a rain race, if I'm correct.
Yep, that's correct.
So
It's a rain race.
I love the little mix we're having. It's nice to have a little something different. To me, I kind of wish there's more than one rain race, but I know this is, I believe, the first time we're doing it. So I'm happy we're doing it, and I can't wait for it. It's going to be a lot of fun.
Absolutely incredible. And is there anything you'd like to mention? Anybody you'd like to shout out before you head out the commentary box?
Yeah, I'd like to thank All Star 15 TV and HSR Phantom Racing. One, for a great car. Thanks to Jake Zito for getting me setups. He's awesome with making them setups, and grateful to have him on our team as one of the owners. Joe Hutchings as another owner. AJ. Thank you guys for everything you do for us on this team. Great cars, everything. Nerds Doing Nerd Things podcast. Drinking Bros Auto Racing Group. Fry Trucking, Wrestling with Nerds, JVM Graphics, JTC Home Services, BMS Motorsports, and anyone else that I might have missed. Sorry, but thank you for everything you guys do for us, and thank you guys for broadcasting these. I love going back and watching these, and this one's definitely one I'm going to be going back and watching.
Yeah, it's always the best to go back and watch when you've won it. But yeah, final thoughts from you, Larry?
Definitely a great race, and Dalton, awesome job here getting the win. A couple podiums now to start out the season. It's got to feel good, and looking forward to seeing you in the rain at Sebring in a couple of weeks.
Thank you.
All right, so that's Dalton Fredericks, and let's see who else we've got tonight. Let's talk to how about our LMP2 winner tonight, Mr. Caleb Lehman, joining us. All right, so Caleb Lehman joining us here for the interview. And Caleb, you kind of dominated tonight. Is that what you were expecting tonight, or you were thinking maybe get a bit of a fight from some of the others?
Definitely wasn't expecting domination. I thought that we had a competitive setup and didn't quite put it together in qualifying, but I was hoping to stick around the podiums, but then somehow survived all the chaos and just kind of checked out. It was a pretty straightforward race after the first, 10 laps or so.
Yeah, I mean, incredible results there from you, Caleb. And I mean, how did the car actually feel? Obviously, you managed to pull away neatly, like you said, and you got into your own zone. We spoke a little bit with the likes of Dalton a little bit earlier on about the tire wear and just how the car felt progressively. How did it feel coming towards the end of the hour 15 mark?
The car felt very stable pretty much throughout. I just had to manage brake bias a little bit to keep the rear under me during braking as the temps got a little bit hotter, and then had enough long enough fuel stop that I was able to take tires. So just managing those coming out of the pits, making sure I didn't spin or make a dumb mistake. Yeah, the car felt really good.
That's absolutely incredible to hear, though. But just wanted to find out your thoughts. Next race, which is in 2 weeks' time, is at Sebring International, and it's actually going to be a wet weather race. How are you feeling about that from your results from tonight?
I feel pretty confident at Sebring in the wet. I think it was whatever the first season that iRacing introduced rain. We did the Sebring 12-hour there, and we're on for a really good result. Had some really good teamwork with my team, learning how to drive in the rain. So I think I'll do okay. I don't know if it's going to be another domination like tonight, but I feel pretty confident there.
And then just a final question. Talk us through a little bit of the traffic management that you had to endure here at Hockenheim Ring with the 50-plus size grid over here.
It was definitely some touch and go moments, but most of the GT3s that I encountered were pretty predictable, which is always helpful for the faster classes. And I didn't actually have to deal with GTPs lapping me until I think the second to last lap of the race. So I was just kind of in my own zone, doing my own thing, just trying to stay smooth, and it all worked out.
Oh, that's absolutely incredible to hear. But before you head out of the commentary box, is there anybody you'd like to mention or anybody you'd like to thank?
Yes, definitely. First and foremost, want to thank my wife. She is amazing and supports me in this hobby. And then my team, SRT, the guys, we work hard, push each other week in, week out. We've got a few new team members, Steven, Kevin, Jake, Lewis. We're missing Josh tonight, but we've all put in a lot of work. And yeah, great group of guys, and I really, really appreciate all their help.
Incredible stuff. Any last thoughts there, Larry?
No, I think awesome job tonight, Caleb. The team definitely coming together. You guys have a lot of speed in all the classes you guys are running in, so we're going to see where that speed looks like when things add a little bit of dampness in a couple of weeks, so we get to Sebring. So congrats on
actually,
the class win. Yeah, go ahead.
One last shout out, John Pat, our setup maker. I forgot to mention him. He put in all the work and made this setup as stable as it was, and it was fast. It was awesome.
Yeah, well, great. We'll see what he can do with a wet setup at Sebring in a couple of weeks. Always going to be interesting. So there you go. Your winner tonight in LMP2, Caleb Lehman from SRT Esport.
Thanks, guys.
All right, so let's see who else we've got to speak with. Let's talk to how about our AM leader in GT3 tonight, driving for Dragon Sport Racing. We've got Lucas Trigoda joining us. Tristan, take it away.
Lucas, welcome into the commentary box here. You're live at Ricmotech World Challenge. Talk us through that race at Hockenheim Ring for round 2.
Yeah, it was definitely an interesting race. Just trying to stay alive at the front of the pack. Felt like I had very good pace this race. I've never really been this high up. So just staying alive. Pros don't really matter in this race. So if I make a mistake, I'll just let them go by because it's not worth losing.
It's always a good point to learn. And obviously, like you mentioned, it's often not worth it to hold somebody up for no reason, especially if they are indeed faster. But talk us through a little bit of the traffic management there in the AM and the Pro class throughout this race.
Yeah, prototype was a bit sketchy. Like, they'd send it in some places that just, like, didn't make sense. And then passing AM cars could also get a bit sketchy, too. So, just managing that, and I think you're good.
And talk us through the tire wear. Not too sure if you decided to take a tire swap at your pit stop, but just talk us through how the tire wear felt on that Mercedes throughout the hour 15 stint.
Tires definitely started to drop, definitely at the end of the stint. I took both left tires so there's more right corners on the track. So it was definitely slower lap times during the second stint, but yeah, it was a bit slidey during the end. So just watching that and just trying to stay on track.
And in 2 weeks' time, we head to round 3 of the Ricmotech World Challenge at Sebring International. It's also going to be a wet weather race. How are you feeling about that after your incredible results from tonight?
Definitely feeling good. I'm excited to see what I can do in the wet. I've done good before in the previous wet race here. I'm doing pretty good in real life wet racing, so I'm excited to see what I can do, and it's definitely going to be a good race.
Absolutely incredible. And is there anybody you'd like to shout out or anybody you'd like to mention before you head out the commentary box?
Yep, definitely my brother. He gives me setups. He watches my telemetry. Gains me a 10th, but that 10th could mean a lot in the race. And my family, both my parents support me. You guys for the awesome broadcast and everybody here that races at the league, making this just so fun to race in. And yeah.
Absolutely incredible stuff. Larry, any final comments from your side?
Yeah, awesome job tonight, Lucas. Just dominant fashion here in the GT3M class, and looking forward to seeing you again in a couple of weeks when we get down to Sebring.
Thank you.
All right, that is Lucas Trigoda, Dragon Sport Racing driver, winning in the GT3M category, and that leaves us One more driver to interview, our GT3 Pro winner, and what an exciting race it was. Let's talk to Jordan Ricmotech, your winner in GT3 Pro. Tristan, take it away.
Jordan, welcome into the commentary box here for the Ricmotech World Challenge. Incredible job there, finaling it there in the first position slot for the Pro division here for the GT3s. How did that race feel for you?
Yeah, thank you, Tristan. I appreciate it. Just managing the traffic, and knew I had some good pace once the tires came in, and just try and manage traffic as best as possible for that. And then got a little scrappy there for the battle for the lead after the pit stop, but was able to bring it home, so that was cool.
Yeah, talk us through the battle over there. It was the main talking point throughout the last couple minutes of this race between Michael Brooks. How did that go?
Pretty good. I mean, it was a fun battle back and forth. Elbows were definitely out. Some paint was straight, but I felt like I had some pretty good pace and knew if I could get around that I'd be able to put in a couple of sprint laps, and kind of went that way. And I was glad I did, because like the traffic here, it can swing both ways real quick, and started to drop some time at the end just trying to manage my way through traffic, and was able to hold out.
Yeah, talk us through the traffic management, obviously with a 50-car grid and the 4 different divisions with different speeds in different types of corner settings. How did that go?
Yeah, it wasn't too bad here. I had a short end of the stick at Road Atlanta, but you get good qualifying, you get a little bit more respect when it has the top 3 next to your name, so they tend to work with you a little bit better, it seems, and just be predictable as possible with where you're placing your car, especially being the slowest car of the 3. It's just trying to be as predictable as possible for them to try and stay out of their way, and then be quick. Eventually, with this many cars at a tight track like this, something's going to happen. So half of it's luck, and the other half is just being quick on your toes.
Yeah, and then just talk us through, I think it was one of the main incidents that people were mentioning, just coming out of Mobile 1 into Sachs over there. You were obviously left side hand of Michael Brooks. What happened over there?
When I got pushed off into the sand.
Yeah, I believe so. When you got pushed off left just before Sachs.
Yeah, we were just talking about with the traffic management, he unfortunately got tied up with some of the prototypes and I think a slow lap car in the GT3 field. And I had a big run, and we were along side by side, and he kind of just ran me off the track. And luckily I was able to catch it through the sand, and didn't hurt me too bad. I only dropped like a second and a half, and was able to kind of gather in and keep the head level and just keep on going.
Yeah, absolutely. So in 2 weeks' time, we head to round 3 of the World Challenge, and that's going to be at Sebring International, a wet weather race. How are you feeling for that after your incredible results from tonight?
To be honest with you, I haven't done too much racing in the rain here on the sim, so definitely going to have to be doing some practice for that one, but the rain's always a good time, so we'll see how it goes.
Absolutely incredible. Is there anybody you'd like to mention or shout out before you head out the commentary box?
Yeah, my family's watching, my mom and dad and my sister, so hi to you guys. Thanks for all the support you guys always give.
Incredible stuff. Any final comments from your side, Larry?
Yeah, it's great. Jordan, your mom's in the chat, of course, egging us on to give you more coverage. The first half of the race, we weren't really giving the love to the GT3s, but she reminded us that, hey, there's some good racing going on. And she was right. That's when the good stuff came out anyway. You responded with that great race and pulling home the victory. So we're happy that she was able to kind of direct us back in and giving you guys the coverage.
Yeah, good thing she's there for the support then.
Yep, she was awesome. So anyway, great race tonight, getting the win here in the GT3 Pro. It's Jordan Ricmotech. Congrats.
Thank you.
All right, so with that, let's see what we've got coming up on the calendar in our Ricmotech series. 1 week from tonight, we're going to be at Suzuka for the Mini Mite Sports Car Challenge. 60-minute race going to be happening there, and I believe we're still taking registrations. If you haven't yet, you want to sign up, you can at xmsracing.com/MSC-shop, and you can too sign up for the Mini Mite Sports Car Challenge. It's too late. In 2 weeks' time, we've been talking about it. We are going to be at Sebring, a 90-minute race here in the Ricmotech World Challenge, and there will be rain. Don't know how much rain, but we will have to wait and see in 2 weeks. One more week after that, we move over to the Indy Road Course for 75 minutes of the Mini Mite Sports Car Challenge, and that'll be in 3 weeks' time. So one heck of a race tonight. Chaos at the beginning, battles all the way through, and lots of fun here in the Ricmotech World Challenge. Can't wait to do it again in a couple of weeks. Tristan, thanks for joining us here tonight, and hopefully you had a good time as well.
Yeah, absolutely incredible tonight. Loads and loads of action between our 4 different classes and our 3 different car types. I think one of the best we've seen here I've seen at Hockenheim so far. Beats your standard Formula race, because with 50 cars on grid, you cannot go wrong.
It's unbelievable stuff. So great racing. All right, so for Tristan Herbst and, of course, Jim Cunningham bringing all those great camera angles, I am Larry Lefty McLeod, and we will say good night from Apex Racing TV. We'll see you again next week for Mini Mite Sports Car Challenge at Suzuka. Good night, everybody.
Ricmotech, high-performance sim racing equipment. There's only one place to go, ricmotech.com.